If you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, along with the bell icon so you can be notified whenever a new video is posted. And if you're already subscribed, check and make sure that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. And of course, be sure to give the video a like, as well as share it on your social media. The white supremacists hate that. Now, that said, white supremacy is a system whose entire purpose is to select who the winners are going to be. And this selection cannot and will not be based on merit. It's going to be based on whether or not it's in white supremacy's interest. I told you about how white supremacist arch-fiend Andrew Breitbart established his racist little website because he believed that in order for the right wing to dominate in politics, they would first have to understand that what happens in politics follows what happens in the culture. If you fail to recognize which way the culture is going, then nothing you do politically will succeed. You'll always be behind the curve. But Breitbart also made it clear that culture itself follows what happens in sports and media. In a video I posted earlier this month about Dr. Seuss, I gave you a couple of articles from Breitbart's own little cesspool where some of the people who scribble columns for him reiterated Breitbart's devotion to the idea that the white right cannot dominate the political arena until it first commands the cultural arena, and that it cannot control the cultural arena until it first controls the media arena, which of course includes professional sports. This is why people like Jack Abramoff and later Steve Bannon, who worked at Breitbart, and more recently Ben Shapiro, who also worked at Breitbart, or as I prefer to call him BS, have all dabbled in making movies. These are supposed to be the far right's own lunk-headed forays into the world of entertainment, which they failed to make their mark in outside of right-wing hate radio and Fox News. But that's not to say that white power has not been in the driver's seat. Far from it. While the reactionary right has failed to see their own aggressively anti-black rhetoric preached from the mountaintops, instead they've had to settle for the slightly more watered-down anti-black racism from the white left, which has largely been a distinction without a difference. I and others in the black media have explained the very real and very important purpose that so-called awards serve under white supremacy. The plebes, that is, the rank-and-file citizens, they weren't the ones who came up with the idea of awards. And the things that actually get these awards and accolades are not even things that the rank-and-file citizen actually thinks is valuable. So who did come up with the concept of awards and saturating the society with them? They were created by the establishment as a means of conferring instantaneous merit on something or someone. It's supposed to be a social certification, as if they're speaking for the society. If they say that something is worthy of praise, then it is. It's a way of certifying someone or something as being meritorious, and to say that the society values this person or thing, and that they are the highest embodiment of whatever idea white supremacy is attempting to promote. As Tariq stated, it's a way of credentializing people. That way, whenever someone asks, "Why on earth should I listen to your nonsense?" that person can point to the awards or credentials that white power provided them with. So make no mistake, awards serve a very, very important purpose under white supremacy. It's a means of giving instant legitimacy to something or someone that white supremacy sees as being of value to its interests. For over a decade now, I've been telling you that the entire purpose of B1 is to take control of the social discourse within the black community. That was no accident. A large part of the reason why we got all this off-kilter behavior going on, a large part of the reason that we allow all of these fakers, frauds, phonies, fools, sellouts, suck-ups, and simps to deteriorate and otherwise derange the discourse in the black community is because there has not been a substantive group of people to push back. That's the reason why we hammer this drum and keep hammering it. White supremacy understands the value of deranging the internal politics of those that it oppresses. White supremacy fully understands that it must invest a lot of money to giving rise to a whole bunch of counterfeit black empowerment types, a bunch of people who claim that they're on the side of the black masses when in fact they are nothing more than agents of white supremacy. The main ones out there claiming that we have the oldest civil rights organization in America, or people like Big Bird, we got the oldest reparations advocacy group in America. Yeah, they've been around for decades and decades and decades. Ain't done a damn thing. They haven't moved the ball even one iota toward getting anything for black folks. Oh, but they're so proud of how long they've been around. Yeah, so proud of how long they've gotten away with their con game without anyone calling them on it. And you've got white supremacy in the form of its white corporations and the white media who give money and a lot of airtime to these fools as a means of legitimizing them. Why, they must be important. They're on MSNBC or they were on CBS. Why, ABC had this person on a panel on this week. That means they must be important. We should listen to them. Well, what they say must be basically right. You don't have any of these white anchor people poking holes in what they're saying or otherwise trying to discredit them. So that means they must be basically right. Right? You better learn to understand when and how white supremacy manipulates you. And this brings us to the recent NAACP Image Awards. Though the only thing the Image Awards have ever done is to hurt black people's image. And just as an aside, this year's NAACP Image Awards was shown on BET. So you got a white media outlet that is sitting here putting on this white power puppet show, because that's what the NAACP is. They're a sock puppet for white supremacy, claiming that they're fighting for black people's interests. The only thing that they talk about are transgender bathrooms and immigrants. When you look at the lineup of what movies and shows and such that the NAACP decided were worthy of giving awards to, what value an NAACP award has, I don't know. But when you look at the lineup that they decided to choose, it just reads like a who's who and what's what of every sort of intersectional nonsense that the white media has been trying to foist off on the black community. All the stuff that their white leftists have failed to convince us that we should adopt. Here comes the sock puppets over at the NAACP who are going to be preaching this message to us instead. Well, Professor Truth is giving their little sermon thumbs down. Now, I'm not going to give a full rundown, of course, of all of these idiots, but if you want to see what kind of fine, upstanding individuals the NAACP chose to give awards to, well, here's just a few of them. Some of the winners are Outstanding Actress in a Motion Picture, Viola Davis. She got an award for her portrayal of Ma Rainey in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, Ma Rainey was a lesbian, which I guess explains in large part why the NAACP could not wait to make sure that that was going to be receiving a large amount of award nominations from them. In an interview with the LGBT website The Advocate, Viola Davis said she, talking about Ma Rainey, went to orgies. She got arrested at an orgy. A lot of the women who danced with her were her women. She had orgies with them. Well, isn't this a nice, upstanding individual that every black person should know about? We should put her on a pedestal. All these white media companies putting money behind these productions, and why are they doing it? They're doing it because, as I've been telling you and will continue to tell you, the entire purpose of a media, of any media, is to promote a particular value system. So if you realize that not so many black folks are hero-worshipping white leftists anymore, you realize that their influence is waning, they're no longer seen as the voice of God by a growing number of black folks. Well, if black people are actually deciding to put stock in the opinions and views of other black people, well, you may have to put some of those Negroes on the payroll to get them to sell the soap for you. And that's what this is about. I mean, look at that. Ma Rainey went to orgies. She got arrested at an orgy. A lot of the women who danced with her were her women. Her women. Well, that's nice to hear. Only about 60 years after the end of slavery. That's nice to know. Her women. Okay, so what we're doing is we're preaching the virtues of black women being studs, is what you're saying. She had orgies with them. Yeah, so the only reason you need to have people around is if they're going to be sex partners. And if the folk in your circle ain't willing to go into the sheets with you, well, you really don't need them in your circle now, do you? What kind of value system is this? It's the value system that white supremacy wants to promote. They want to make it where, as a black person, you'll look and decide that if you don't practice a certain lifestyle, well, you need to, or at the very least, this ought to be what we rank at the very highest of our totem pole of valuable figures. Individuals who deserve merit and praise, these are the things that we ought to be holding up as being the standard for black people. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with going to orgies, because after all, you don't want to really put too much stock in relationships, do you? I mean, it doesn't pay to get too attached to people after all. It needs to be basically a parachute from bed to bed, because I mean, after all, that hasn't been a bad thing for the black community these last 5 decades, has it? And the fact that they have the most respected black actress in America saying that means something. Because that's the entire point. This is supposed to be legitimizing not merely someone who most black folks hadn't heard of and didn't really care about, but more importantly, it's supposed to be legitimizing a particular value system. That's what this is about. This is ethno-political theater. We'll go ahead and give these Negras a little bit of glitz, very little, a little bit of glamour, very little. Why, we'll put on what looks to be a counterfeit version of the white awards that they wish that they could get for themselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to have our own little phony baloney counterfeit version of the Oscars just for them. And it's going to be nothing but awards for individuals who have done things or espouse virtues and values that are going to be of interest, that are going to be of advantage to white supremacy. And that's what this is about. This is what this is doing. They gave Issa Rae, of all people, an award for Outstanding Actress in a Comedy Series. Clearly, they've never seen Insecure. And considering that HBO has announced that they're pulling the plug on the series, apparently nobody else was watching it either. By the way, the word outstanding should never be in the same sentence as Issa Rae. The two are complete opposites. Though on a side note, I think you might have noticed that one of the nominees for this Outstanding Actress in a Comedy Series category is none other than Falaki Oluwafoyeku for Bob Hart's Abishola. Now, we already told you about that show and how it takes shots at black folks here in the United States. If you came out of slavery in this country, this show and its creator takes a crap on you. But this is who the NAACP decides we want to consider them for an award. They also gave 3 awards to the miniseries Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker, which, as we all know, that miniseries demonized black men. It continues the white media tradition of, the black woman's biggest obstacle is the black man, even though black men were Madam C.J. Walker's biggest supporters and defenders. Still her biggest boosters today. But the fact that they felt that miniseries needed 3 awards, that lets you understand how important the sock puppet organization NAACP, they're letting you know how important that series is in the eyes of white supremacy. Well, we got to give them 3 awards. They're going to need some extra propping up with these phony credentials. And I'm sure that some of you noticed that both Self-Made and Ma Rainey movies were produced and funded and distributed by Netflix. Now, Netflix spends billions on their programming, billions with a B, and you look and see what they're putting their billions of dollars of massive resources behind. This is the stuff that a billion-dollar corporation is putting all their money into. Next, the NAACP gave an award for Outstanding New Artist to Doja Cat. I'm not making that up. Now, some of you may know who Doja Cat is. She's the biracial daughter of a white Jewish mother and a South African father. I first found out who she was right after it was revealed that she had long been a participant in one of those alt-right chat rooms on 4chan, though she completely denies taking part in any racist repartee. But of course, this denial fell in 2015 after she released a song seemingly in response to the murder of Sandra Bland called Didn't Do Nothing. Basically, the song was meant to cast aspersions on black people who call out police violence against us. This heifer did this right after a black woman was murdered by police. And Doja Cat, of course, claims why she can't be an anti-black racist because she is at least half black. The rapper Nas went so far as to put out a single called Ultra Black. And one of the lyrics was, "We going ultra black, unapologetically black, the opposite of Doja Cat." When asked about these lyrics, Nas denied that he was dissing Doja Cat, but I think the lyrics speak for themselves. However, this is who the NAACP gives an award to for Outstanding Artist. This is what the NAACP puts on a doggone pedestal. This is who the NAACP points to. And we need to hold her up as an example of what black people should aspire to. As TBA likes to say, it gets even worse. They decided they would give an award for Outstanding Documentary Film to John Lewis Goodtwubber. Oh yeah, John Lewis. I mean, we all know that John Lewis has done so much for black people. I mean, he got his butt whipped on the Edmund Pettus Bridge and then thanked the white supremacists who assaulted him. I'm sure that that's of very much help to black people. And then he went to Congress, where he lined his own pockets and made sure that his relatives and his close circle of flunkies were taken care of. And I'm sure that's been of benefit to black people. By the way, have you seen the district that John Lewis represented? Atlanta. Supposed to be a black mecca, though you couldn't tell by looking. Black folks own nothing of consequence in Atlanta, control nothing, call no shots, and are getting gentrified right the hell out of there. It's Detroit all over again. And just like Detroit, you got black folks being encouraged by the John Lewises and their successors and well-wishers and flunkies and friends to tell themselves, "Oh, we running things, Black Mecca," while you're getting run out of town. Same thing as Detroit. Just like John Conyers did. What is it these doggone Negroes calling themselves John? I mean, very little good has come from any of them fools and nothing good from John Lewis Goodtwubber. Speaking of worthless, do-nothing civil rights retreads, NAACP also gave an Outstanding Literary Work Award to none other than one of John Lewis's colleagues, Elijah Cummings, who apparently wrote a book called We're Better Than This. With a title that stupid, I can't believe somebody didn't give it the subtitle, No We're Not. Elijah Cummings, who got all heated, he got all ventilated about the treatment of illegal aliens on the border. But meanwhile, he ain't saying a damn thing about black folks in the United States getting killed in the streets. Nothing for his own constituents and the brutality of the Baltimore PD, but he's very concerned about how foreign children who aren't even citizens are treated on the border. He's very concerned about that, though. So this is the level of denial of reality. That's what the NAACP is doing. If you help them to create the lie that black folks are doing better, things are getting better. These are the Negroes who run around using asinine words like our and we when talking about the United States. Our country. Our founders, our laws, our courts. You don't control a damn part of it. It wasn't built for you. You have no influence over any of it. They are your enemies, not your friends. No, but you got John Lewis saying, it is ours. And the white media saying, that's right, you niggers. You need to invest in this. You need to believe that it's yours as it grinds you to dust. And you got black folks playing along with it. That's the purpose that these guys serve. They tell you that, we fighting for black rights. And as soon as white supremacy says, okay, here's your token position, Negro, it's all about ours. You can't tear down this good white land. Oh, and lest I forget, you know what district the late Elijah Cummings represented? Baltimore. You look at Atlanta and you look at Baltimore. Baltimore is an economic, political, and social basket case. And Atlanta is a madhouse. One of them has crumbled into an absolute heap, and the other one's going to be on its way. This is who the NAACP gives awards to. Yeah, it looks exactly like what it is. You got white power using a sock puppet organization to try to validate a whole bunch of failures and frauds. Speaking of which, the NAACP, not to be outdone, they decided to give another literary award. So apparently, I guess they don't mind having 3 or 4 of them in a row. They gave one to, wait for it, Barack Obama, for his book, A Promised Land. They actually had the nerve to call it a non-fiction book. But this is the NAACP, white power trying to figure out how to rehabilitate Obama's image. Is there any more mileage that they can get out of this used up, exposed con man? Barack Obama, who decided to invite racist cops to the White House after they assault his so-called friend Skip the Truth Gates. Invite him to the White House for a beer. And then Obama sits on his hands as the white supremacists with and without badges kill black people in the streets. Flint, Michigan is subjected to chemical poisoning as form of genocide, and Barack Obama decides that rather than go after the bastards who attempted this genocide, instead he would go to Flint, Michigan and mock the survivors by drinking some water and claiming, it came from the Flint water supply. And then after all that, the bastard had the nerve in 2016 to tell black voters, you've got to secure my legacy. And I guess for the NAACP, this is supposed to be what counts as black scholarship of a sort. We're giving awards to Elijah Cummings and John Goodchwubba Lewis and Barack Obama. The damned insult. But they still weren't done. They decided that they would give an award for, get this, social justice impact. They gave this award, whatever the hell that means, social justice impact. That's one of those phrases that's so vague, it can mean anything or nothing at all. Well, they decided to give this award to Stacey Abrams. Other than losing her political race for governor and helping Biden become president, what the hell has Stacey Abrams done other than be a cheerleader for the Democrats? Social justice impact. The only impact she has is whenever she sits her lard behind down. I bet that's quite an impact. People on the other side of town can tell when Stacey Abrams has had a seat, but what the hell has this woman actually accomplished, especially for black people? Please tell me what victories she's had. See, all these awards they're giving these fools who have put no points on the board, ain't accomplished a damn thing for black folks and aren't going to. What the hell have they done? What the hell have they accomplished? Social justice impact. Well, I guess they figured calling it the Democratic Party Cheerleader Award would have been a little bit too on the nose. The NAACP even had a category called Activist of the Year. I kid you not. They actually had a category called Activist of the Year. And who was the winner of this august award? Was it someone who was putting in work last summer in the streets to fight police violence against black people? Was it somebody who was taking the fight to the enemies of the black community? Nope. Instead, they gave this Activist of the Year award to some guy named Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. See, they understand that a lot of black people choose to be simple-minded. So whenever you sit there and have somebody who claims, I am a reverend and I got a PhD, even if it's an honorary one, there are a lot of black folks who want to vicariously feel as if, this black person over here who ain't done a damn thing for black people, he has these highfalutin titles. I'm just going to try to bask in the glow of their own worthless, empty radiance. They know that, so they have no problem saying, here is the Honorable Reverend Dr. Who Gives a Damn. By the way, I know a lot of you are scratching your heads and going, who the hell is this Wendell Anthony character? Never heard of him. That makes sense. And what exactly did this guy do to be crowned Activist of the Year by the NAACP? I don't have a clue, though I do think it probably has something to do with this Reverend Anthony character being the president of the Detroit branch of the NAACP, which is allegedly the largest unit in the nation, they say. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Have you seen Detroit? The NAACP like to brag that the Detroit chapter of the NAACP is the largest unit in the nation. Well, that certainly explains why Detroit is the biggest, most blatant example of the total failure of the black misleadership class. You want to know why Detroit's in the shape it's in? Look at who the hell it is who's calling themselves being the local leaders of the black community in Detroit. Imagine that. The NAACP has named one of their own local chapter presidents as the activist of the year. So basically the NAACP gave an award to themselves. Hell, they might as well. Nobody else is going to thank them for anything. Especially not some pulpit pimp who ain't produced a damn thing for black empowerment. I mean, all of this would be funny if it wasn't for the fact that these bastards, all of these people that I named for you, they've all got a proven track record of attacking black people, holding hands with white supremacists, refusing to punish white supremacists. Black people put these bastards in positions of authority and then they sit on their hands. Individuals who have produced nothing except for wrecking the places where black people live because these guys are puppets of white supremacy. John Lewis did not fail. Elijah Cummings did not fail. Barack Obama did not fail. They did exactly what white supremacy put them in their positions to do. They succeeded enormously. Their job was to roadblock black empowerment. Their job was to get black people to sit on our hands and do nothing while these bastards allowed the white supremacists to run roughshod over us. That is the purpose of a Barack Obama, or a Dr. Wendell Anthony, or an Elijah Cummings, or a John Goodtwubba Lewis, or a Stacey Abrams. That's their job. Oh, these guys failed to do anything for black people, but the problem is a lot of black folks don't realize that ain't their job. They succeeded for white supremacy, which is their real job. Another individual who they had nominated for 2 awards for Outstanding News Information Series or Special, Joy Reid. They had her nominated not for once, but 2 nominations for her, of all people. Yeah, they're trying to prop up their little house Negroes, and it ain't working. And they also have a nomination for DeSuze and Mero. These are 2 immigrants who we documented for you. They spelled out that they are immigrants first and foremost. Now, there's plenty of other awards that the NAACP gave out. Megan Thee Stallion got one. Steve Harvey got one for Outstanding Host of a Game Show. I wish I was making that up. Look at the lengths they've had to go to in order to make up awards to give to these scumbags. They're making up categories that even if you took them seriously, you can't deny that they are of absolutely no consequence whatsoever. You also can't deny the people they're giving these awards to ain't done a damn thing. This is just basically, hey, black people, look at some of these people who we're going to try to bestow legitimacy on. Oh, you should applaud too. Don't you want to vicariously feel as if, oh, this is a black person? I feel like I wish I could be on that stage for what? So you could have a do-nothing white supremacist sock puppet organization tell you thanks for nothing? Is that what you want? These awards aren't given as the result of true artistic talent or any sort of merit, or for having promoted the cause of black empowerment in any way whatsoever. When you give an award to Doja Cat, that shows nothing but naked contempt for the black community. That's exactly what this is about. These are some of the Negroes who are saying the things that white power can't say, so that they're on the take and they're making it very clear. If you trash black people, we'll give you an award and claim that this is a good thing for black people. The black grassroots being led by the black media, we have done a lot of damage to these sock puppets, these clowns the white supremacy's been trotting out here. We have been writing John Goodtwubba Lewis's epitaph. We've been writing his chapter in history. The white media are finding out that they're not able to write it. We've been doing the writing of it. And we're also writing Elijah Cummings' chapter. And we've been writing Barack Obama's chapter. Oh, he can put out as many books as he wants. Netflix can go ahead and give him and Michelle Obama all of the make work projects that they want. Doesn't mean anything. Netflix is not who decides what the significance of Barack Obama is in the eyes of the black community, especially not with young black people, the under 50 crowd. It's the black media who decides that. And we've issued a verdict of guilty of crimes against the black nation. Hell, you can give Barack Obama an NAACP Image Award. You can give him an Oscar. You can give him an Emmy. You can give him a Pulitzer and a freaking Nobel Prize and anything else you got. That's not going to change the stench. That's not going to get the stink off of him. Now, the lesson to be taken away from all this is when you see this stuff going down, white power understands the absolute necessity of controlling black culture as much as possible. And they try to do that through these so-called award shows. White power controls these so-called black institutions. These movies and TV shows and musicians like Doja Cat and Megan Thee Stallion, who they give awards to, they're all produced and sold to you by white companies. So you're awarding white companies for indoctrinating you with lies, and you're putting anti-black racists like Doja Cat on a pedestal. If this was the Grammys or the American Music Awards doing this mess, black folks would be outraged, and rightly so. But you got to understand, the NAACP is nothing more than a front for these guys, and they're not alone. We must control our culture. You cannot be playing footsie with or otherwise on again, off again, holding hands with these outfits who are pushing white supremacy's agenda. The white media understands the value of creating and manufacturing a spectacle. It's part of how you control the population. We're going to make a spectacle out of our awards as we give phony accolades and counterfeit legitimacy and attempt to arbitrarily bestow merit on these fools who have helped white supremacy so much. They understand that same way that they do with marketing movies. You spend $150 million making a movie, then you're going to have to make that thing into an event in order to get your money back. White supremacy understands the value of doing that. But what it also proves, with the NAACP realizing we can mention Cynthia Erivo, but it probably wouldn't be a good idea to give her an award. She has all this heat on her. It shows that even as they desperately, pathetically do everything that they can, which doesn't amount to much, to prop up the failures and the phonies like Barack Obama and John Lewis, it also shows that as they attempt to try to make Stacey Abrams into a thing, what it also proves is they understand that black folks can see through their little project to try to tell us that black people are all basically just a bunch of closet intersectionalists of some sort or another. Oh, this Doja Cat woman, she's light-skinned. Don't you understand that light-skinned folks are better than you, so you don't have a problem with her sitting here caping for these white supremacists and bumping elbows with them and dancing on the graves of black women? You don't have a problem with that, do you? She's light-skinned, so, we understand you aspire to be like her, don't you? Don't you? Now, in the past, especially with the black baby boomers, they would have heard a chorus of, yeah, we sure do. But now what they're hearing is only a couple of hood rats and some dusty dudes going, yeah, that's right. But the rest of us are looking, and we're not even booing the bastards. We're giving them stark silence, and our silence speaks volumes. But silence is not enough. A culture cannot exist without resources. You cannot really have a culture in a barren wasteland other than a culture of subsistence and bare survival. We require resources so that we are able to not only enjoy our culture, but we are also able to promote our culture. That's the reason why institutions are important. And as I told you, institutions are the guardians of ideas and ideals. It's important to have institutions that do that. See, the NAACP, they were an institution created by white supremacy to promote the ideal of the obedient, non-threatening Negro, the aspirational Negro, the Negro who aspires to get a pat on the head by not causing no bad trouble, only good trouble. White supremacy understands the value of putting their money and their resources behind those institutions that promote their power. And as black people, we are never going to be able to have control of our culture until we put our money where our mouths are. It is not enough merely to turn your back on the Cynthia Erivos or the Barack Obamas or the Stacey Abrams. It is not enough to merely call out the Doja Cats and other assorted trash. As Black people, we have to mount a substantive counteroffensive, and not merely a counteroffensive, but a successful crusade to take over. It can't just be a matter of pushing the bad guys back. We got to overrun their position and own that position. We got to be taking territory. That's what culture is supposed to be about. Your culture is supposed to be pervasive. But over here in the B1, we're not afraid of hard work. We thrive on it. But just understand, it is not enough merely to call out the flunkies and friends of white supremacy. The question is, are we doing everything that we can to promote the culture of Black empowerment?